AFTV, James, disappointing this evening. I've got to take it back, man, to the actual team news itself when the lineup come out. What was your thoughts? Because I know on the watch along you were a little bit stressed about the Saka situation, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on why that was. Because there's a big game coming up on the weekend. It was a strong side that we went with tonight. So what are your thoughts on the lineup, man?
No, I think on the watch along I was probably giving it a little bit more of the I told you so, which is probably quite inaccurate for me. I was on Forever Arsenal. I originally said I wouldn't start Saka. I was kind of convinced by Jordan that actually if he's fit, you want to play him. There's plenty of time to rest ahead of Sunday. But when it came into the starting 11 show today or whatever, I was just thinking, you know, the guy's come off in 2 games in a row. Should he really be playing in this game? And if he comes through it and there's no problems, and then Arteta's ultimately got it right and he's trained, so you sort of convince yourself. But everything that we feared came true, which is that, funnily enough, if you come off in a North London derby because you've been, kicked a lot, and you've played a lot of games, and he's got this amazing record of, 80-something Premier League games, that he's not missed. Yeah, that comes with a price. There's a reason that a lot of other great players haven't reached that tally, because I don't think it's particularly normal. And he, then he comes off in the Bournemouth game as well, having not been available and not trained last week ahead of Brentford. And then again, he does train for this, but he starts and he comes off very early. I just feel this sense of everyone always wants to hit you with the whole, well, what do you know? You're not a physio. What do you know about the medical side of things? I get that, and I'm sure that there's incredible data science that goes behind these decisions. But sometimes also common sense prevails as well, which is, hold on, we've got a lot of games, a lot of football being played. Hell, even our next Carabao Cup tie is West Ham away. Mm-hmm. I'd quite like him available for that because I want to go through to the next round of the Cup. Is this a game where actually it doesn't matter so much if you take him out the 11, because you can look at Sunday, you can look at the fact that he's going to play a lot of football international due to Gareth Southgate and just give him some much deserved rest. But he didn't get it. Some will say he was rested against Brentford. That doesn't really count for me. I'm talking those games where there's actually a little bit of pressure on Arteta to get it right and to get a win in this somewhat tough circumstances, and he hasn't gone with he hasn't gone with Saka, but in this situation he has again. So
Let me ask you on that quickly, because there's a lot of people that say, well, if Saka's coming up to the boss and saying, boss, I'm fit, I want to play, then we should play him. Is there not an argument to be had, though, that Arteta needs to look at this a little bit more sensibly?
Yeah, but everyone's involved. He's got to know his body. Like we don't know the conversations behind the scenes. If Saka is feeling pain but saying, I want to play, then you're doing the squad more harm than good. If he's whatever. Arteta also has a position here where he could say, we've got to manage your minutes. I just wonder why, and no one makes this point better than Turkish, but why we gave the big contract to Reece Nelson, convinced him to stay, and he is like for like closer to Saka than anyone we've got in terms of, yes, he's not left-footed cutting inside, but he's direct, he'll run at fullbacks, and he seems to trust him in weird situations where we need to dig a goal out of something last minute, late in games. But actually, when there's an opportunity to give him a start. So what did we promise him? Here's a nice big contract, sign on to Arsenal, commit to the club. But by the way, you're only going to get 10, 15 minutes at the end of games we need to win. Like, what did we convince him of there? So imagine he'd be disappointed he's not getting more minutes, especially when he stars in games like Brentford away. So, I'm just all very confused about it. Would it surprise me if Saka's fit and available Sunday? No, because that guy, fair play to him, he's really strong and he recovers quick. And, from that sense, I can give him credit. And I understand that Arteta wants to play his best team. But what I can't stand is people who say, why do people want to rotate so heavily for Champions League? Who said heavily? I said take Saka out of the team. Keep the other best 10 if you want. I don't care. Give this guy a rest because he needs it.
Listen, I think it's fair. Let's go into the performance, James. It wasn't a great one. Was there any positives out there tonight for you whatsoever?
Let's really scrape the bottom of the barrel. Okay, here's one. And I'm trying, and this is like really
reaching.
This is really, really reaching. The fact that we were so crap, and actually should have been 2-1 up via 2 or 3 the Trossard chance, the Tomiyasu chance that's cleared. And actually, then the Nelson chance of the cutback. So there were 3 very good chances that second half, despite being absolute shite. We were poor. I'm not losing my head over it. This isn't like I don't want to hear this and think, oh, you're overreacting. It's cool. I'm still confident we'll qualify. It doesn't really massively change how I feel going into the Man City game. It doesn't massively change how I feel about this team and this season. I'm relaxed. I'm fine. But we were crap today. That's it. we were crap, and still created 3 chances. There you go. There's a positive.
What do you think went wrong, though? I mean, it was a performance that no one will want to remember in a hurry. And I think, I said on my fan cam, I thought Mikel Arteta had some question marks. Do you think he got it wrong tonight?
Well, he's getting something wrong away in Europe. The Zurich game last week and
last season.
Not last week. A lot's happened since then, but we weren't great in that game. We won 2-1, nothing to shout home about. Bodo Glimt, we won 1-0, but I actually remember us being poor in that game, creating very little, holding on a lot. And we lost 2-0 at PSV last season. So there's something.
Sport in Lisbon as well.
Sporting was poor. Knocked out by Olympiacos in the Europa League. Away at Villarreal, poor, the 2-1 defeat. So he's got a few. He's got a record of a few of these. Arteta, where he struggles away in Europe. So he's getting something wrong generally in these away European ties. And I feel like an idiot because I literally just did a video on my channel, which was a clip on from AFTV on why we're so good away from home. But I should have specified I meant in the league because, quite frankly, in Europe we've always been poor, and we've talked about that. The other question, what you got wrong tonight? Arteta got things wrong, like, you don't go like for like when Saka comes off. In fact, he probably shouldn't have started him. In fact, Jesus, as you mentioned, wasn't always up front, was drifting wide. I think those kind of things he got wrong. But generally, I think the players let him down as well tonight. Raya, really poor decision on the distribution there. And look, they punish us. Defensively, we looked a bit shambolic. I don't think anyone looked brave on the ball. I'll give it to maybe Rice. The only one who looked like he actually wanted to show some bravery in possession, drive forwards. Zinchenko was sloppy on the ball. Everyone just didn't really like. Nelson was trying to take his man. I shouldn't really be going for now. He came on late. But Nelson, Trossard, Saka when he was on the pitch, Vieira outright. No one was taking on their fullback. No one was running at them. I didn't see Ødegaard attempting anything like that ball away at Bournemouth the other day that gets us the opening goal. Something that felt daring, that felt like you're trying to pick a lock. Havertz completely uninvolved again, and the centre backs looked uncomfortable, which you don't normally say. So Rice, the only one who looked remotely brave on the ball, and I think if your players don't look brave on the ball, then you can get things wrong tactically, which I think Arteta did, and I think Arteta has to take blame for that. And maybe he didn't get them in the right frame of mind, and maybe there were things in preparation he got wrong, but the players were also just really sloppy. I mean, almost all of them below average tonight, except for maybe Declan Rice and Tomiyasu.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Listen, huge game at the weekend. Probably puts a little bit of a downer on things going into the week, but it is a completely different competition. And we need to bounce back, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, if Lens tonight was put down to anything like complacency and just a general lack of understanding for what the game might have needed or whatever. And look, footballers play a lot of football. Sometimes that might happen. I'm not saying it's okay, but sometimes, mate, you can't always treat every game like it's the biggest of your life. I understand that. Maybe they were in second gear a little bit today, which isn't okay, but might have been what happened. Certainly, Man City isn't a game you think of in that way. You got to be incredibly sharp, incredibly switched on at all times. They can hit you with anything. They can go long to Haaland. They can play around your deep block. They can do anything. They're the treble winners, and they're the team that we are desperately trying to beat to this title finally. And there's an opportunity to do that without Rodri and De Bruyne in this game. Final thoughts on it very quickly. Partey hasn't kicked a ball for us since August, but get him in that team. As brilliant as Rice is, and he is brilliant, I think we progressed the ball through the lines a little bit better with him there. But I also think Rice is a better box-to-box option if you're trying to recreate what Xhaka did, which is crashing their back post to get goals. Look at the goals he scored for West Ham last season from the same area Xhaka was. We did a whole breakdown on AFTV. He's got that in his locker. He's box to box. He can press up the pitch. But crucially, off the ball, he gives us that solid midfield of Rice, Partey, Gabriel, Saliba. Bam, in the middle. Who wants to play against that? So I want to see against City. We saw in the Community Shield. Run it back, Mikel.
Big up, James.